Shut up and sit down.
It's where the big boys play. SICW.
Welcome to Spurry Podcast, everybody, episode 93. As you know, due to safety reasons for the wrestlers and the fans, January 10th was canceled. But we're back. We don't have January 10th to talk about, but we do have Raw to talk about. We have our upcoming show on February 1st, which is an anniversary show and a double main event show. And how's it going, guys? Staying warm?
Well, definitely. I'm not sore since the King of Luck style somehow got the show canceled. I didn't have to deal with a big monster.
I heard you guys fighting on Facebook, and Glenn swears he didn't have nothing to do with the show being canceled.
Oh, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he's making the calls into anybody would listen. No, the weather. Stop the show. Stop the show.
Probably talked himself into a no disqualifies match with you on the first.
Yeah,
no, he ain't getting away this time.
Yeah, what's great, instead of carry on with the same main event, they it's kind of the same, but they switched it up. So February 1st, it's going to be Big Joe Helms versus Kowalski for the classic title. And it's going to be Glenn Williams versus Bobby D for the Central States title. I kind of like
a no disqualification match.
Yeah, I kind of like how they did that. It's still the same main event, kind of, but now I think it's more fair because everyone's going after the belt they wanted instead of the belts not being on the line.
Well, I wouldn't have mind going for the SICW Classic Heavyweight title. It's one I haven't had yet. But more so, I don't mind taking some weapons and bashing them over Glenn Williams' head.
That's what I'm saying. Last month or this month's show.
Oh, and
on February 1st, both belts are on the line.
For everybody watching, it is 9 degrees outside, 8 degrees. So we're having connectivity issues over Wi-Fi. So we'll cut in and out here and there. We'll clean it up in post, but
all right, so I don't know if you guys got it all, but I'm saying that this month's show, none of the belts are on the line because it was a tag match. So at least next month on the 1st, both belts are going to be on the line. So I like how they split it up. So I think you're better off this way.
I think my prediction is next month you're going to see both belts change hands.
Hey, more power to you. So
I think we're going to see a big old Silverback with the title, and then you're going to see me with the Central States title again.
Yeah, we'll have to bring the Silverback on, then bring you on, Bobby, and talk about your titles.
The victories. The only thing that sucks is because the booking schedules. Like, I know Danny Dollar was booked for this month's show, but he can't make next month's show, so we lost Danny Dollar. I'm not too sure about the Chicago Bear guy, Bear Hug guy. So
Yo Dabba Daddy?
No, that's two different guys. But I'm not too sure if those guys are going to be able to make it to the. It's one of those things when a show gets canceled, you might lose the special people that you were trying to bring in that month.
That's okay. There's 2 special people on my screen.
Oh.
Is that one of those?
Say what kind of special?
So anyway, yes.
Was that an endearing moment or was that a Nathan moment?
Both.
So,
let the fans decide.
So let's just say February 1st, Belclair Fairgrounds, Belleville, Illinois. Doors open at 6. Show starts at 7. 2 main events. This is the only thing we know about it so far. Is Bobby D versus Glenn Williams, Central States title on the line, and it's no DQs. Is that what you're saying?
It is no disqualification. So all of his little Weasley ways to win the match without actually beating me are out the window.
All right. And then Joe Helms versus Kowalski for the classic title. So, definitely two main events. Definitely going to make that card great. Of course, Herb Simmons is just going to fill out the rest of the card. So definitely, call,
That, and also it's a celebration of her 52nd year as a promoter, so it's an anniversary show. So I'm sure we'll have some special events going throughout the night. So you might want to come, show up.
There you go. All right. So of course we filmed this on a Tuesday, so we have the numbers. Well, fictitiously, so far we have the numbers for Monday Night Raw, and I say that because it just happened yesterday. So really, truly, the numbers don't come in from like a week from now.
But it did debut at #1, and it was the #1 streamed show on Netflix.
But like to Texan's point, I was actually watching it right before we jumped on here on a Tuesday.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with the debut. It picked up 1 million more views during this past week, so 5.9 million-ish globally have watched it. So it's a resounding success so far.
All right. So on that note, let me give you what my thoughts. So the debut, you had Hulk Hogan, and even though he got booed, you still have Hulk Hogan. You have The Undertaker. You have John Cena. Triple H came out. So you got all these heavy hitters that came out on the debut. But last night's show didn't have any of that. As a matter of fact, it didn't even have much wrestling because there was only like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Even the guys, if you take out, John Cena, take out, The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, the top guys that are still there is CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. They didn't wrestle. All they did was in the beginning of the show, they came out, talked about how they feel they're next in line for the championship, and their way of getting the championship is for the Royal Rumble. So basically, all three of them.
They talked about 3 minutes each. Well, about the Royal Rumble.
Spent about 30 minutes of the time getting into the Royal Rumble. So, Raw was only 2.5 hours last night. It wasn't a 3-hour show. And they said they're not going to be labeled to a 3-hour show. They can go short. They can go over. It's not blocked or anything like that.
Well,
however,
in the spirit of all these guys declaring for the Royal Rumble, I'm going to officially declare myself for the Bruiser Brody Memorial Rumble.
Yeah. Well, then I too will officially declare myself for the Bruiser Brody Battle Memorial.
And I too will declare myself in the TV room for the Bruiser Brody Royal Rumble.
Oh, see, you had the full opportunity there to pull an R-Truth. Be like, my bad, I undeclare.
Yeah,
I'll stay behind.
I'll declare that.
I'll stay on the TV side. No.
So last night was the debut of Penta in the WWE, and he went against Gable. What's his name? Chad Gable, and it was a really good match. They told a story. Bobby, did you see this match, or was this one of you didn't?
I did.
Okay, so they told a story. Chad took advantage of Penta's leg, and you can see it through the whole match of how bad his leg hurt him.
Even after the match, when he went out to hug his family and stuff, he was still holding that leg and limping on it.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was an awesome spot that Penta gave to Chad Gable, and what is it actually called? Man, it's a name of a move that we tell each other. Oh, after I do 5 of these in a row, then I'll pin you with a leg sweep.
He did the Mexican Destroyer.
Yeah, which is what's the actual name of that move called?
Canadian Destroyer.
Canadian Destroyer. And I tell you, this destroyer was fucking awesome, and they should have just finished it like that. Which is so basically, Chad Gable is bent over, looking down, and Penta will jump over and grab over onto the sides and flip Chad Gable, and almost into like a power bomb. ADT. And literally spiked his head on the ground, but he was standing straight up on his head and then fell flat. And I tell you, it looked great. And then that should have been the end of the match right there. That should have been the 1, 2, 3. But that and is really never the finish. They always do something else to get a finish, and that's what they end up going to.
They reiterate what they went to. The finish.
Right?
You froze again, so what was the finish?
Oh, I don't remember actually what they used as a. It was one of his
It was
moves.
the Penta Driver.
Penta Driver, yeah. But they should have finished with that first move because he took it, spiked it, and it just looked devastating. And then that should have been the end of it. But after the match, they gave Penta the microphone. And, this is his debut match. And so he thanked WWE, thanked his family, thanked where they were. And he spoke some Spanish and English. And evidently, the people in the back said that he took too long. And they were kind of mad at him. And he took a little heat from that. Now, this is a show that last week was over 3 hours long. This week, they finished at 2 hours and 30 minutes. So they finished 30 minutes short from their actual show, but even shorter amount of time from the first episode.
And on top of that, Penta was probably the most talked about thing going into Raw that people wanted to see.
Right. So I don't understand how he could take heat for thanking everyone and doing it in Spanish and English. He's a luchador. So, he's got to think both, basically, I just don't get it. I think he should have been fine with what he did. It didn't take too extra long. Everyone was interested in what he was saying because it was his first night there.
Yeah, all they had to do was shrink the 3 that declared for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine. Half an hour wasted on that. I get it, showmanship, but it could have been less showmanship. They would have accomplished the same goal.
Couple good matches, at least in my caliber. Miz versus Sammy. Really didn't see great well as he normally does.
You didn't like it so much, you got stuck on Sammy.
It was Sammy versus The Miz. And Sammy, I think, did so much better, at least with his part of the match, than The Miz. Miz looked like he was just having an off night, but it made the match look terrible, I think. Sheamus versus Kaiser.
I did see that one.
I think that was a really good match. That was a hard fighting match. Most of their matches, this is like the 3rd or the 4th time on TV that they fought each other. And every match has been just a chop, forearm, really putting it in there type of match. And this was just the same.
And I only know it was 4 because I thought it was really weird when Sheamus came out. They did kind of like the AEW style of putting he's 2-1 against Kaiser going into that match.
And Kaiser actually put him out for a while. They showed a preview of the last match where Kaiser had grabbed a what do they call it? Shillelagh, and beat him across the back and beat him in the ribs, and he was out with a broken rib. But of course, Sheamus won this match, and it's going to set him up for a match with Braun Breaker. So I think that will actually be a good match too, because they actually had a match before. It was all 3 of them: Kaiser, Sheamus and Braun Breaker, and that was a really good match. So it's a good way that Sheamus is coming back, and they're just tweaking it a little. Now it's going to be Sheamus versus Braun. Let's see here. I have to mention it because it is the first time. Their Women's Intercontinental Championship was held last night versus Dakota Kai and Lyron Vakura. I think that's Vacuria. Okay. Did you see this match, or was this after? Okay. So
this is the last one I watched.
This was actually not a bad match. They went at it pretty fiercely. Most women's matches, I speed through. It's just not my thing. Some women are very great, like Charlotte Flair. You got to watch those matches because those could be really good. But a lot of the women's matches are slower paced, and you can see the mistakes a little bit clearer. But this one wasn't too bad. It was pretty hard hitting. The thing is I don't think they celebrated this match the way they did when Chelsea Green won the SmackDown's version of that title, the U.S. title, the women's U.S. title. They really went all out for that. Kind of feeling, because this is the very first women's Intercontinental Championship. I just didn't get that vibe, though. But let's see here. Who else? The girls' match, Miz and Sammy. The match you didn't see, and I won't spoil it for you, but you've probably seen this match many a times because they fought each other a lot. And that's Damian Priest versus Balor. And this was no DQ, anything goes type of match too. And they fight all over the place. And it's a very good match. So I won't spoil it on who wins it. But definitely a good match. So if you haven't seen it yet, anyone out there, go watch Raw and watch that main event, because that main event's pretty good. Let's see here. Anything else going on about that? No, I think that's about it. Their champion came out, because Cody Rhodes is the Universal Champion, and he's technically on SmackDown. And he was there last week, just in the audience, and I do think he interfered in Roman's match. But technically he's a SmackDown guy. So Gunther is the world's heavyweight champion on Raw. And everyone's kind of giving him some shit because he really, they haven't made him wrestle in a while. He didn't wrestle last week, didn't wrestle tonight. He just came out and did a little promo. And Jey Uso came out and interrupted him. But like I said, I didn't really care for Jey Uso's match last week.
I didn't care for his promo either.
Yeah, I didn't care for his promo either. But they're pushing him. But I don't think the system's not behind Gunther, at least not lately. Because he's been kind of like on the back burner of everything,
I'm wondering if there's some behind the scenes injuries or soreness or something they're holding him from.
It could be. But
because all of his matches are good.
Yeah, they're him and Sheamus throw down some fucking bangers. Heavy hitting, really good matches. But he hasn't been on TV in the last couple. Well, he hasn't had a match in the last couple of weeks. But that's pretty much it for Raw. Now, there's a couple things that came out, newsworthy things that came out about WWE. One came out today. Corey Graves, who used to commentate Raw, has not, because of
go back, Corey Graves. What? You
Pat
froze
McAfee
again.
spot.
Go back to where
Pat
you said Corey Graves.
Corey Graves. Yeah, Corey Graves hasn't commentated Raw the last 2 weeks because And so Corey Graves got on his Instagram.
The weather is not liking you at all, Jim.
We got Corey Graves has not been there because
Pat McAfee has been there both weeks, and they're actually Corey.
With Pat McAfee though, he does so much. I mean, he's a great commentator, but
there were several times in the portion that I watched before getting on here where I'm like, if he didn't bring so much viewership from his podcast, he would be fired for the things he says.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, that Corey Graves on his Instagram had spoke out and said, I pretty much was told that I'm not as famous as Pat McAfee, and that's why I can't do my job that I was hired to do. And they put him down.
But he's not wrong.
And they put him on NXT as the commentator. How?
I don't know how.
And now pulled him from NXT. So now you don't know where he's going to go. But again, yeah, like you said, both of you, Pat McAfee is more popular. If he's going to bring more eyes to the table, you're going to have to use that guy and not use Corey Graves. I just think Corey Graves should have kept his mouth shut and kept the money coming in from him now working NXT, you know? But, you know, then again, he voiced his opinion, and now we don't know what's going to go on with Corey Graves. So that was...
Don't self-stick, snitch. And that's what he did.
So that was one of the stories. And then over the weekend, Vince McMahon posted that he has finished the investigation that was happening on him, got finished up and wrapped up. I think it was the SCC that was investigating him. And he was just forced to pay some fines. And basically, they're investigating why he didn't tell the WWE company that he had NDAs with $1 million, you know, attached to them being paid by the company, but it was truly for Vince McMahon himself. So paid some fines, and now that and part of the investigation is over with. So now that clears up for what was her name, Jolene Grant, to finish up her lawsuit against Vince McMahon. So, you know, she had put a pause on her lawsuit to find out what the SCC was going to find out about him. But they just basically slapped his hand. So now she's going to pick up, or her lawyer.
Well, I mean, I hope she gets everything she deserves.
I hope so too, because if the stuff that has come out, and that's not all the stuff that had happened to her, it's just the stuff that you know, that catch the eye and get people talking about it.
But behind the scenes, people, you know, behind the scenes, everybody knows.
Well, I think what's most important about her case is she's trying to get all the NADs broken up, so everyone who's ever signed one with Vince McMahon can talk about their situations. And
well, that's already been declared illegal. NDAs are not legal anymore, so that it should be breaking them should be fine.
It's more of a past tense going on future. But she is trying to get the NDAs that are broken to be broken up for all the past. Right. So, you know, there's a female ref that they had in the 80s that signed an NDA, and she kind of talked a little bit about it, that she was forced by Vince McMahon to do some things to him or not have a job. Supposedly there's even some guy wrestlers that worked for WWE that signed them, and that was back when they were doing that, the Ring Boy scandal. You know, there was a scandal back in the '80s about some of the higher ups in wrestling bringing a ring crew that were boys and was basically transporting them over state lines, taking them from show to show, and allowing them to put up the ring if they did special favors to them. So there's that law, you know, those NDAs, and there's some other wrestlers that won't open up about NDAs either. So, but you know, there's always that speculation that, you know, a lot of the higher ups for a time period were gay and took advantage of certain wrestlers. So it'll be interesting. Her case, there's so much on the line of back history with Vince McMahon and the WWF/WWE. So she's got, you know, she could pull a lot of dark secrets out of the closet, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And it's
I
a lot more
wonder how much they covered for Pat, because like we've all, or at least I know you and me have discussed some of his road stories that people have told.
Yeah, you know, so.
And that's the kind of thing he was talking about. I mean, wrestling is a closed community. It's a family community, but everybody knows everybody's secrets.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's a lot of stuff, you know, because, you know, I've seen some shit happen when I first got into wrestling. I always talk about the movie The Wrestler, and how that was more of a real fact. It was the best movie that I ever seen about the behind the scenes of wrestling. You know, about one of the wrestlers had the briefcase that whatever you needed, he sold and you can get from him. You know, I've seen that with my own eyes, you know, and then other ribs that people would play on people, like when you're showering, you know, you can by chance have a bucket of piss dumped on you too. And, you know, it was a whole bunch of stuff that I caught the first glimpses of. And that's just an independent, not SICW related. Let me just throw that out there. Not SICW related, you know, stuff. But I can't imagine on a higher scale of a WWF or /E at the time what kind of crap they went through.
Oh yeah, I bet people would like poop in a duffel bag and.
Oh yeah, I heard that one.
I've heard that. I've heard in the boots.
Yeah. I won't mention names, but we've heard. I really can't say much of AEW. You know, I took a road trip and watched a couple of SICW wrestlers wrestle at another federation over the weekend. It was their first time. Midwest Coalition, I think is what it's called.
Or Coalition.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So I wasn't able to get to AEW this weekend. As a matter of fact, before we got on tonight, I actually just started watching the first match. But I'm sure, you know, this weekend we have no wrestling. So AEW is on Saturday night. So I'm sure I'll watch that one and report about it next week. But yeah, so really nothing I can say. And matter of fact, even on the stuff that I watch, you know, other news channels that talks about wrestling really hasn't said anything about AEW. So it kind of makes me wonder that the shows that happened over the weekend really didn't have anything happen in them that was cool. You know, either way, you know, like on Raw, you know, Hulk Hogan getting booed, Undertaker getting cheered. You heard about it. You know, stories come out. John Cena came out and threw his name in the hat for the championship at the Royal Rumble. You heard about it. I didn't hear anything about AEW. So, you know, I'll try to catch up with them and catch this show on Saturday and and see what's going on with him. I know Edge is back, or whatever his name is now.
Adam Copeland.
Yeah, Copeland. But I think he's actually dropping the Copeland part and is coming out as Adam Cope, which is a little weird. But I don't know if that has anything with WWE maybe claiming something that I don't know. It's his real name. So you'd think he would have control of it. But yeah, he trademarked Adam Cope now. So.
Well, I don't know. John Fogerty got sued for copyright infringement of songs that he wrote, and he had to pay. So weird shit has happened.
Weird shit.
I'm gonna copyright your name, Bobby D. You're gonna owe me a quarter every time somebody says it.
I really haven't picked up any treasures this week. You know, I didn't. Of course, it's too cold for yard sales. No flea markets. No big
you had
purchases.
business in the family, so you've been busy.
Yeah, I picked up 2 grandchildren this weekend. My youngest boy had his first child, and his name is Roman, not related to Roman Reigns. I didn't pick this name. It's a good name, though. So my youngest son used to read a lot about what was it called? You know, the gods and goddesses.
The Greek mythology or Roman?
Roman mythology and Greek mythology. And, you know, if you ever see him, he's got a tattoo of the guy that's supposed to be holding up the world.
Atlas.
He's got that, and he's got another one of those tattoos on there. So, well, he chose the name. And I say that because I did name one of my sons Zachary James Austin Hoffarth. So, you know, I had to throw an Austin in there. So he knows he was named after Steve Austin. But I did not have nothing to do with him being named Roman, even though I do like it. And then I picked up a granddaughter. My oldest son had his second daughter. So everyone knows Serenity. You know, she's always my tag along. But the newest one is called Selena. So that's kind of cool. I guess he's sticking with S names. But yeah,
so you can start naming names and then say shit and nobody will say anything.
But I got to hold both of them literally an hour before we got on here tonight. I had to go to 2 different hospitals, but I was able to hold both of them. So that was very cool. Good way to end the weekend. Yeah, so not bad. I did pick up one thing, and it was just on a Facebook auction because it was very cheap. I couldn't believe no one was bidding on it. Not a toy, but it's an autographed picture. Let's see if I can get him in there a lot better. Papa Shango. And it's got his autograph on it. Now, if anyone follows just my personal YouTube channel, last year I was able to meet him. And, you know, he's been to our Fan Fest.
I was going to say, didn't we have him last year?
Yeah, but I didn't really get to talk to him at our Fan Fest, you know, being busy. One, trying to set up for my own damn match, and then helping the Fan Fest go. You know, that was the big thing of a lot of the wrestlers was trying to organize the Fan Fest. But I did get to meet him in Indiana when he, not as Papa Shango, but when he was brought in for the Nation of Domination reunion. You know, so it's him and D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry and you know, the main one, Ron Simmons. And they did not a seminar, but like a tell-all type of event, kind of like how we're doing it this year on Friday. If you haven't got your tickets for the Mayfest, Fan Fest, you got to get those tickets now because I think the hotel rooms are almost filling up. So got to do those. But I met them in Indiana, and their tell-all or their stories that they were talking about were just, I think I even talked about it here on our podcast. They were just great. They badmouthed Ahmed Johnson so bad. It was just great to listen to. But yeah, so this is the only thing I picked up. I did try. Target has got a new set of WWE legends out this week, and there is a chase. And like I said, a chase wrestler is one that I'll just tell you, Ravishing Rick Rude came out this week in one particular outfit. It's a different color, and then they threw a chase out there. So not every Target's going to have them. Maybe not even every state will have a Target that has one. But they threw out a chase of Ravishing Rick Rude in a WCW outfit. And it clearly is marked WCW, and it's got like Nitro on the sides and stuff. And so I did shoot my chance of trying to find them, but I couldn't even find the original Ravishing Rick Rude. So I guess a lot of people are buying them. I will try to find that because, I don't try to collect really anything new, but if they throw a legend out there, I will try to find that one, especially a guy like Ravishing Rick Rude. I think in the 80s/90s, maybe early 2000s, the best three heels, especially in the 80s and 90s, I think, of course, was Roddy Piper. Hands down, in the 80s, he was the man. And then late 80s, early 90s, Ravishing Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect, I think, were like the best heels. So for them to throw out a Ravishing Rick Rude and throw out a chase with it actually spiked my attention, and I went looking today for him. Just didn't pick him up. But did you get a box yet, Bobby?
I did not, but I did just find your Rick Rude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'm sure it doesn't tell you which store has them, does it?
No, but you can get it online and just have it shipped to your house. WCW on the leg. It comes with the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on Target.com it says they're all in stock. So.
Yep.
Well, see, where's that out of, Bobby? Because if you go to Target in Target.com, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get the chase.
I say Target.com showing that one.
Yeah, I'm seeing that one.
As far as shipping to you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've heard.
As far as this one being in any stores near us, looks like Hampton Village is the closest available store to us.
Ooh. Cedars Rapids, Michigan, there's only 2 left in that store. So in the whole of Michigan, only 2 left.
Well, see, I heard horror stories where people order them from Target.com and they get the regular, the regular figure, not the chase version. So I don't know. I would rather take my chance and actually go to the store and physically make sure that I get the chase one. I guess, but now I can't because there ain't nowhere around.
Unless you go farther away.
Well, I don't know. I got a newer truck to me. It's a 2018. But I tell you, man, going from that Camaro, $46 fills you up. I took a picture of how much it cost me to fill that truck up. I about shit my pants at the gas pump because it was $106. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, but a big guy like you getting in and out of the truck is easier.
Oh, my goodness.
And on the knees,
I'm
at
just
least.
hoping because it's a bigger tank in this truck than the Camaro has, so I'm just assuming that it's going to take me a little bit longer to go through that gas tank than it did for the Camaro. So I'm sure it'll average out because I did see on the odometer and stuff like that. It tells you what the NPR is, and I think it was 16 in the city. So I know the Camaro did better than that in the city, but it's not that much better. So we'll see. But that's all I have for you guys tonight. We're pushing towards February 1st. It should not be a snow day. At least, God, I hope it's not a snow day. So
it's gonna last all the way there.
Yeah. So again, February 1st, SICW comes back to Vegas, Belleville Fairgrounds. Doors open at 6. Show starts up at 7. Again, if you haven't bought your tickets to the Fan Fest, you need to buy them because that's in May. And the hotel, I heard, like I said before, the rooms are going fast because everyone's booking for Friday night. The stay for Friday night's Q&A with a lot of the guest legends that are coming in. And then, of course, the Fan Fest Saturday, the Hall of Fame Saturday, and then SICW brings you the Bruiser Brody Battle Memorial. I was going to throw in there that it's also Larry Matisek and Tony Costa Battle Memorial. So we can't forget those two guys because both of them had a big what's the word, thing for me and Bobby. Tony gave us a couple of our first shots, not our very first, but a couple of our first shots. And then, of course, Larry Matisek, man, he was the spark behind Herb Simmons for a long time. And he was a booker for Herb. And what a smart brain he is when it came to wrestling. Let me throw this out there to you because I brought it to Herb Simmons' attention. There is an email spam going on claiming it's from Larry Matisek. I got one last week. It's on the sender. It says 2025 Larry Matisek, and then when you open it up, there's a link that says above it. It says something like, "I didn't really mean to bring back these memories, but if you click this link," and that's as far as I got. And
don't click that.
I showed it to her. I said, "Man, Larry Matisek sent me something from the grave the other day," and he hadn't seen it. He might have not paid attention to his emails, but here lately I've been having to look for emails for doctor's visits and stuff like that I had to go to. So I had to pay attention to him, and I just happened to see it. I was like, "What? Larry Matisek sent me something from the grave." I mean, that would be great. That'd be very cool. But I know that something bad was on the other end of that link.
But February 1st, weather, rain, 60%.
I'll take rain over snow.
Yeah, you can drive in rain. Easier.
Right.
It's rain. 54 degrees and rain, so we'll be good.
We did move up a couple on our subscribers from last week.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. I want to say something about that too. People are going back in our catalog on not just our legends and SICW wrestler our matches, but people are going back and watching all of our podcasts too.
Oh.
And we appreciate that. We have one podcast now that is just over 530 views, which is pretty good for us. So
yeah, that's awesome. So
and it's not the heel takeover. So
That's good.
But just 2 weeks ago, I checked that same podcast. It was only at 422. So people are going back in our catalog and watching, and we appreciate that a lot.
That's awesome. Brandon had texted me Saturday night to let me know that he was in Texas Saturday, and they were taping for NWA Power. He doesn't know when he'll be on, but he actually had a match for NWA Power. So congratulations to Brandon about that, and I'm sure once it starts to come closer for that TV taping to air, he'll let us know so we can make sure we see him. Of course, he's going to be not to give props to Brandon or anything, but he's going to be on OVW this Thursday as well, so you catch him. I'm really just saying this because he was last week's podcast, and he was talking to us about these dates. So it's kind of cool knowing what has happened to him. Got on NWA Power, and he's going to be on OVW TV this Thursday. So he's really moving up. So he's really putting the work in. I didn't catch that last part you said.
Said he's building houses everywhere.
Yes. I'm sure people are thanking him for it.
I don't know. People are pretty rude.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for subscribing if you're one of our newest subscribers. But please, the algorithm helps if you like and comment and share. So if you guys can, everyone out there, doesn't mean if you're just new, but if you like what you're hearing, I say it every week just about, if you like what you're hearing and like what you're seeing, please share it because, we want to get a broader expansion, basically, because we do cover WWE and AEW and sometimes TNA and other shows. We do like to bring you the local wrestling from our city, St. Louis. It was a hotbed for wrestling for a long period of time, and it's starting to get that way again. SICW keeps doing bigger things every year. Third year in the Fan Fest. WLW just hooked up with the NWA, so they're bringing the NWA name back to St. Louis. New promotions are opening up. Like I said, I was just there at one last Saturday. So St. Louis is still a wrestling town. So we love to share our local wrestling, and then talk about the big leagues.
And the more people subscribe, like, and watch our content, the easier it is for us to get the other projects we have in motion going.
Yes. Always got stuff on the back burner. We got a lot of things we need to work on. Plus, if you think there's something we need to talk about more, every time we're on here, tell us. We'll be happy to throw in a new segment here and there and talk about different issues. Yeah, man, that's all I got for you this week. So, thanks for subscribing. Please like and share. But from everyone from the Squared Ring Podcast, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
See ya.